Good afternoon. I'll go ahead and open this meeting on August the 20th, 2014. Oceanside City Council, Harbor District, and CDC. Roll call, please.
Mayor Wood.
Here.
Councilmember Kern.
Here.
Councilmember Feline.
Here.
Councilmember Feller.
Over here.
Deputy Mayor Sanchez is absent.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please.
Good afternoon. Council will meet in closed session to discuss under item 1 on the closed session agenda, conference with labor negotiator regarding the Oceanside Firefighters Association and unrepresented group. Council will also meet in closed session under item 1.1 of the agenda addendum to the closed session agenda, conference with real property negotiator concerning approximately 450 acre Elkhorn zone property, the negotiating parties, City of Oceanside, International Swimming Hall of Fame, and Sudbury Development, Inc.
Thank you. With that, I'll go to closed session. Thank you. Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. If you have cell phone or pagers, please turn those on. If we may get started, a couple of things, if I may. The thanks about the phone pagers, we'd appreciate it. I know we had some items removed from the agenda. Can I get the clerk to explain those?
Yes, item numbers 29 and 32 have been removed from the agenda and will be heard on September 10th.
Thank you very much. Other than that, Mr. Clerk, when you get a moment, could we start off by a roll call?
Yes, Mayor Wood.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sanchez.
Here.
Councilmember Kern.
Here.
Councilmember Feller.
Here.
Councilmember Feline.
Thank you. With that, when you get a chance, the consent calendar, please.
Yes, consent calendar items 2 through 13. Item number 14 has been removed for discussion from the public.
Move approval for balance.
1 second, if I may. That's for the public on that 14.
Yes.
I would like to remove 10, please.
Item number 10.
Thank you. With that, the remaining balance is that.
Move approval for balance.
Thank you. And a second, I'll give it to him. Thank you very much.
Which one did you put?
10. Anyhow, with that, if everybody please vote.
Mr. Kern. Sorry. Motion approved 5-0.
Thank you very much. With that, I'll take item 10. If you'll read it out, I'll explain.
Item number 10 is approval of a professional services agreement with Washburn Grove Management of Hemet in an amount not to exceed $249,550 for Phase 1 and Phase 2 remowing of the San Luis Rey River for flood protection, and authorization for the city manager to execute the agreement upon receipt of all supporting documents.
Thank you very much. I pulled this item for a little bit of a discussion, if I may. We're going to have a workshop pretty soon on this particular item later this month. However, I talked to the staff and the Army Corps of Engineers the other day. This is something that we in Oceanside have been following for many years. I've been for at least 12 years dealing with this, and the city even more. It's about the flood control channel, all the weeds, bushes, and trees that are growing in it. The big issue from the public is until it gets to at least 100-year flood control from the Army Corps of Engineers, your flood insurance doesn't go down, really. So it's important for those people living around it. But in this particular case, this is one more step that we seem to be doing on a daily basis, trying to deal with the Army Corps of Engineers and on this particular item. It concerns me because we keep bending over backwards for everybody and costing the citizens and everybody else more money, and we don't seem to be moving forward after something like 14 years. I explained to the Army Corps of Engineers that what we're doing here is in order to get to a point that they can mow 3 portions of the flood control channel, we can't get to that point to get the insurance deduction for flood control insurance. So it's one more thing we have to jump over to try to get our citizens a benefit. I want you to know in this particular item, you're going to be paying almost $300,000 to mow these things. It's your tax money. So down the road, when you get your rate increases that go down a little bit for your flood insurance, you'll be tapping it right back into your pockets and taxes to pay for the mowing and upkeep of the flood control channel. I told the Army Corps that I was not very happy about it, and I was upset, and that after 12 to 14 years, maybe we should go to federal court and let somebody else decide how to handle this. We're voting on this because, quite frankly, staff recommends it because it gets us one step closer to being able to get the decrease in flood insurance for all the people that live around the channel. So I know everybody in the council has talked about it, but this is something that keeps coming back, and coming back. We had to give 80 acres of mitigated land to them to be able to mow 1/6 of the strip of the river once before. So I wasn't happy about, told the Army Corps that this is getting ridiculous and it's costing the citizens of Oceanside more effort and time. And in order to make up for what they want, the taxes will be equal to what you guys make in savings. So it's frustrating for me, and I know the staff. We've gone back to D.C. almost every year to address this issue. The reason I'm bringing it up As there is a workshop down the road on this particular item, it would be a good time for everybody in the public that has an issue regarding that flood control channel and their flood insurance to get there and make sure they show up and speak their piece, because there's a lot more details that most people don't know about. It's pretty complicated, and I got to tell you, I'm frustrated in trying to be the mayor of the town for at least my 12 years fighting this thing and getting nowhere. So we've had a lot of contacts with the city manager, the deputy city manager, staff, insurance, whatever. So this is an item that I wasn't going to vote on because I thought this is it. But if it gets you closer and the neighbors out there to save some money, I will probably support it this last time. Anyhow, any other comments from the rest of council? Because I pulled it. Your call. I'll tell you I'll vote on it, whatever. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, I'm sorry.
Move approval.
Thank you. I do, and then Councilmember Feline, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The mayor summed it up pretty well. I guess I wanted to just make an observation that happens far too often, that our city is actually being punished because we tried to do the environmentally friendly thing. Rather than when the flood control was built, rather than just make it all concrete, you try to have a sand bottom, which allows the water to percolate, become part of the water table, and do something that accomplishes both the flood control objectives and is environmentally friendlier than a concrete channel. And then lo and behold, because one bird comes in and builds a nest, you're now attacked for it and punished for trying to be environmentally friendly. And so it's just a case where, to put it mildly, the state government and the federal government are not our friends and are not, basically cooperating with the city to meet the flood control objectives our residents need while trying to be environmentally friendly in a reasonable manner that will neither harm the bird population or represent any other threat. And so I agree with the mayor on this one, that it's absolutely absurd the way our city's being treated, and that no good deed goes unpunished.
Thank you. I see no other people. Please vote.
Motion approved 5-0.
Thank you. And item 14, please.
Yes, item number 14 is adoption of a resolution accepting the relinquishment of segments of state highway right-of-way within State Route 76 from the state of California, acting through the California Department of Transportation, and waiving the city's right to receive 90-day notice of Caltrans' intention to relinquish highway right-of-way.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and council members. My name is Ruben Duran. I'm with the Property Management Division, and I am here today to support the adoption of a resolution to accept the relinquishment of state highway right-of-way from Caltrans and to waive the 90-day noticing requirement of the Street and Highway Code for this action to be taken by Caltrans. Caltrans had acquired city right-of-way for its State Route 76 widening project. Now they have determined that 3 segments of state highway right-of-way are no longer needed for the state highway system, and are requesting that the city accept these so they can convey them back. Thank you. I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. Until that vote, you can have a seat at sidebar, please. And with that, council, I have Deputy Mayor, please. Oh, I'm sorry. There's more than one. Okay.
Sorry. Yes, Joan Brubaker may come forward this time.
Sorry, Joan, I didn't.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You might know in my district when it's concerning, I'll be here with my face before you. I don't know if anyone recalls except me when that Jeffries Ranch Road was shut down for a number of reasons. Anyway, it was shut down to facilitate the construction of the highway. I labored with the fire department many hours, believe me. They got tired of seeing my face because I wanted a second way out of the place. There's 5,000 people in there with one exit. They promised me there'd be a gate with a key, and someone would have that key that was in command, apparently, and an access road that you could exit the area. Now, upon looking at the example on the internet, it appears that there's a couple of little areas that they intend to make equestrian trails, bike trails, and then they're going to, they're going to make improvements or have made improvements. The only improvements I see there is a lot of the weeds have been taken away, as well as a movable toilet. It's the only thing I've seen happen. So when they put in all these trails, equestrian, bike, and so forth, how are you going to have an access road in the same area? Because these are going to be reserved for that purpose and that purpose only. So I feel that we've been shortchanged a second time. Not only did we lose our exit, but we're also losing our, quote, access road. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan.
No further public on this
I
item.
don't know if you want to address that, or city staff. You know, this has been a complicated issue because I was on the council, and so was Deputy Mayor, when you guys said that you were going to have that as a secondary outlet, and then that changed, and now we're at this point. So if you can answer that for one of the residents out there, we'd appreciate it.
Thank you. Honorable Mayor, members of the council, David Perro, City Traffic Engineer. We've been working with Caltrans on this property relinquishment, and this is now part of their landscape design and construction project that they're moving into now. And as part of that construction project, this is when they plan on building the multi-use trail, I guess, non-motorized multi-use trail. And it's basically from Melrose to Jeffries Ranch Road along the south side of the 76.
And her exit they're talking about, do you remember?
There is an emergency exit. I believe there's bollards there today at the end of Jeffries Ranch Road. So if there is an emergency, that's the second access to get out. But obviously the bollards would need to be removed. And that was part of the design for the 76 widening.
Thank you. I hope so they get the second exit one way or the other. We're hearing that. We heard that from Caltrans before. They didn't follow through. That's why we're asking. I'm sure why she's speaking up. Thank you on that. I appreciate it. With that, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Caltrans gave several reasons for not allowing us to do this, and they did have they had power over it. They had authority over this. So actually, I think it would make it easier for us to do whatever we think we can if once it's relinquished to us. So I would be moving approval.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second? Oh, thank you. Any further comments? Thank you. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. With that, Mr. Clerk, when you have a chance, let's start off with 15.
Yes, item number 15 is adoption of a
Could we
resolution.
do, excuse me, could we do number 26, Mr. Mayor? Would that be possible?
26.
26.
Yes.
Just reporting out by the city attorney.
Yes, would we have, Barbara, would you please report? Yeah, I got your note right here. Thank you. Can we have you do that? Mr. Clerk, we're going to have the report out from the city attorney.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, council members. City Council met...
Mic working?
I'm just not close enough. Is that better? City Council met in closed session to discuss item 1 on the agenda with conference with labor negotiator with respect to the Oceanside Firefighters Association and unrepresented group. There was no reportable action. Council also met in closed session to discuss item 1.1 on the addendum, the agenda addendum, conference with real property negotiator for property, the approximately 450 acres L4 zone property. Negotiating parties being the City of Oceanside, International Swimming Hall of Fame, and Sudbury Development. The council voted to not extend the negotiating agreement among those 3 parties, which will expire September 8th, 2014. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Deputy Mayor, I'm sorry I forgot about it. You have me a note. Anything else in the order?
there.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And we'll go back to 15, please.
Yes, item number 15 is adoption of a resolution approving and implementing the memorandum of understanding between the city and the Oceanside Police Officers Association non-sworn, effective August 20th, 2014 through June 30th, 2016.
Thank you. Good evening, Pat. How are you?
I've been safe. Thank you, Jenny. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. Pat Nunez, the HR Director for the City of Oceanside. The item you have before you today is the Memorandum of Understanding with the civilian part of the Police Officers Association. It includes the lifeguards, lieutenant and sergeant, as well as the dispatch staff, the field evidence technicians, the call takers, the records technicians, and community service officers. This contract is a 2-year term. The key economic issues are special salary increases for some of the classifications to bring their salary to the median. Those are detailed in the staff report. It also provides for a taxable, non-PERSable stipend in varying amounts by classification. Again, those are also detailed in the staff report. It provides for an increase in bilingual pay equal to that given to the other bargaining units, and the increase in life and AD&D health insurance, life insurance, also equal to what's given to the other groups. There is an increase in the uniform allowance for the communications supervisor, the call takers and dispatchers, and adds a uniform allowance for the records technician staff. The non-economic issues are elimination of some of the classifications from the represented group, including aquatic specialist, dispatcher 1 and 2, field evidence technician training, and investigative assistant. It provides for time off for one member of each of the represented classifications to attend a one-day union educational seminar, and provides for part-time benefited employees to have a cap on their vacation accrual from 200 to 300, which was done for all of their bargaining groups. Fiscal impacts for the first year total $284,182. That includes the salary adjustments, the bilingual pay increase, the uniform allowance adjustment, as well as the PERS costs associated with those PERSable items, the life insurance coverage increase, and the stipend. The second year of the contract just has the non-PERSable stipend for those classifications that will receive it. And that's the end of my report, if you have any questions.
Thank you, Pat. Have a seat, sidebar, where we should be under session. Public?
No public on the side.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor again, please.
Move approval.
Second.
No further comments, conversation, please vote.
Motion approved 5-0.
Thank you, sir. When you get a chance, 16.
Item number 16 is adoption of a resolution to certify and approve the hiring of Christy Singh as a part-time hourly extra help consulting assistant effective September 1st, 2014 in an amount not to exceed $28,435 per year to fill a critically needed position to provide assistance to the Police Department 911 Communication Center.
Captain Beckler, you almost look like Chief McCoy.
Honorable Mayor, council members, thank you. We're asking for this position. We've had a number of our dispatchers that have either retired and or resigned, and we're kind of in a critical state right now. And Christy is one of the ones that had retired in June, and we could really use her help with answering 911 calls during our peak hours, and would like to bring her back on a part-time basis to fill that need for us until we can hire some more folks.
Thank you very much, Chief. And with that, public?
No public.
Back to the council. Councilmember Feller, please.
Thank you. Pardon me. Thank you. I sat in with dispatch with Bonnie back there. Bonnie, talk about multitasking, and I think they all do it. And I learned a lot about the value of quick communication in your field. So, I encourage you to keep looking hard to get to fill all those spots there, because I could see I was worn out after about 2 hours. I don't know how they do it for a 10 or 12-hour shift. So I definitely move approval.
May I have a second, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Councilmember Feller. Thank you for your comments. I would like to thank City Council. You did authorize 2 additional positions for us this year in our dispatch, which is going to be critical for us, and it's going to be a big help and benefit for those folks. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Now let's see how we go. Please vote.
Motion approved 5-0.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. 17.
17 is approval of property exchange agreement with AMB DFS Pacific Coast LLC, exchanging parcel 11 for parcel 26 in the Pacific Coast Business Park. Approval of an agreement with Scannell Development Company to provide additional consideration to effectuate the exchange. Authorization for the mayor to execute the agreements. Authorization for the city clerk to accept the grant deed, and authorization for staff to consummate the transaction.
Thank you. Doug, good evening.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, good evening. Doug Edow, Real Estate Manager, City of Oceanside. Staff is recommending approval of this item before you. The property exchange agreement with AMB has since been acquired by Prologis, and I will refer to it as Prologis from here on out. Allows for the exchange of Lot 11, which is owned by the city, for Lot 26, which is owned by Prologis in the Pacific Coast Business Park. What this does is it allows Prologis to put together 39 contiguous acres so they can sell a piece of property to Scannell Development. Scannell Development intends on building a warehouse distribution facility of about approximately 303,000 square feet for FedEx distribution. The other item is a consideration agreement, which is for $600,000 from Scannell to the city. This helps city reimburse previous costs that it incurred for designing Fire Station 8 on Lot 11, and it also addresses some future costs as the city looks to design Fire Station 8 on Lot 26. As part of the consideration agreement, FedEx has agreed to conduct a job fair in Oceanside to help fill these jobs, and there's estimated to be 500 new jobs to be created. I have a representative here from Scannell if you wish to ask any more specific questions regarding the type of jobs that will be employed at the facility or any traffic issues. Scannell is currently in process of submitting a development plan to get approvals and entitlements for this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Could you and that gentleman have a seat at sidebar if we have any questions? I appreciate you. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. Public?
No public.
Back to the council. Councilmember Feller, please.
Thank you. In this backup, it says we are reimbursed for any expenses for prior design and for the other piece of property, and I think that's a pretty fair thing to do, besides getting another pretty good piece of property, probably a little more accessible to the north-south accesses. I just have one question. Where the DC-10s land? I'm just kidding. I move approval.
Second.
Thank you. Please vote.
Motion approved 5-0.
Thank you. 18.
Yes, item number 18 is the introduction of an ordinance amending section 10.17 of Article 10 of the Oceanside Traffic Code to establish back and reverse angle parking, and adoption of a resolution to establish back and reverse angle parking on the north side of Mission Avenue between Coast Highway and Clementine Street.
Good afternoon. Before you get started, please introduce yourself and who you are and what position for the people here and on audience.
Yes. Good morning. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. My name is Tila Cotter. I'm an associate traffic engineer in transportation engineering.
The long-awaited Mission Avenue one-way couplet project is close to completion, and recently both lanes going westbound on Mission between Coast and Clementine have been opened. Along with introducing a portion of Mission Avenue as a one-way street, the city has introduced reverse-angled parking, also referred to as back-and-angled parking. The Mission Avenue improvement concept plans, which included reverse-angled parking, was approved through the Community Development Commission back in 2010. Fast forwarding to, today, or to 2013, City Council approved the plans for the Mission Avenue Improvement Project, which included reverse-angled parking. So therefore, tonight I am recommending that City Council introduce an ordinance amending the Oceanside Traffic Code to establish reverse-angled parking and adopt a resolution to establish reverse-angled parking on the north side of Mission Avenue between Coast and Clementine. Thank you, and Transportation Engineering is happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Have a seat at sidebar if you would while we get discussion. Public on
No
this?
public.
None on this one? I'm shocked. Anyhow, back to the council. Councilmember Feller.
Seeing as it's already in, this is kind of a formality, and I think it takes some getting used to, but I think it's a try it and you'll like it situation. So I move approval.
I'll second.
May I have a second? Thank you. Councilmember Fulling, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's one of these issues where we're either going to be heroes or goats, depending on people's experiences with this, and I, obviously don't know how it's going to go in advance. Are we making a special effort to get comments, both good and bad, and see how this experiment is going, and who the public should call if they have exceptionally strong opinions one way or the other? Other than your council member, but...
Go, Dave.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, again, David DePero, City Traffic Engineer. We've been receiving comments since the road started construction, and as they're coming in, we have the customer care that people can subscribe to through the city to post their comments, and we would be more than happy to address them. We've had some on the reverse angle. Most of it had to do before these stalls were open, that they thought the design was done wrong because the way the lines were laid out on the street. But since we've opened it, I think people have realized that we're starting something new here. It's cutting edge. It's much safer than the normal head-and angle parking. And I think as time goes on, people get used to it. They're going to see that it's just as easy to do as it is doing your parallel parking.
And what other cities currently use the reverse-in parking?
Yeah, we have quite a few. Just locally, Solana Beach has done a test site down near their post office, which, from what I've been told, is still in place. The city of San Diego is working on it in the Golden Hill area right now. That it's in a planning stage, and then throughout the country, Seattle, Washington, D.C., the list goes on and on. That from what I've been told, in Seattle, if they do any angle parking from here on out, it's they do it reverse angle.
And they've had it long enough where they know that people have been happy with it?
Yes, everything that we've seen, we wouldn't even gone down this road.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've actually gotten a lot of complaints about this. When this first came before us, I did vote against the project. Was rather hoping that we would not go the way of a one-way street, plus not go the way of reverse diagonal. I was more interested in seeing a separated bike path. We got that close to doing that, which I think would have been much better for this. I have tried backing into a spot in a big parking lot, and I can't even get close. So I still think that it's actually more dangerous. I think that if we make it easier for people to stop so they can shop, eat, or walk, which would be just right in or parallel, that is going to get us more activity on Mission Avenue. But it is what it is. And Solana Beach, actually, I was talking to Councilmember Lisa Hebner, and she said there was a lot of opposition by the community, and they had to change their mind. So I don't think that this is good. I would like to see that we set some kind of a date that we can look at, review this and decide whether or not this is something that's really going to work for us. So that's what I would hope to do. Like maybe 90 days or 180 days, 3 months or 6 months.
Councilmember Kern?
Well, anyway, actually, I thought it was my truck. It's easier to narrow parking than the car. I do it out. Question. Is my mic broken? You did that on purpose, Zach. You cut me off. So anyway, I know this kind of tried it and was successful. It is much easier than parallel parking. And we did this on behest of the bicycle community. When you're heading out now, that you can actually look up the street and see if bicycles are coming down Mission Avenue. So, I don't mind bringing it back in a year, let it go all the way through summer to see what happens at the end of next summer, to give everybody a real fair shot at looking at this and basically keep track of whatever complaints we have. But I think it'll take some getting used to it. And like I said, I can do it in my pickup, which is much easier to do than parallel parking. So I think most people will get used to doing it and it'll be fine.
Thank you. Councilmember Feller, please.
Thank you. Solana Beach is still in place. Around the post office, there was a project that they thought about having, and they did not complete that project. But the one that they do have is still in place. Is that correct?
Councilmember Feller, as far as I know, that is true. And again, the city of San Diego is starting a planning process to implement it in the city of San Diego too.
Yeah. Okay. If you can parallel park, this is easier. If you can't parallel park, I'd find a side street where there's no other cars, but this is not a difficult process, and I just think that we need to give it some time. Thank you.
Thank you. My comments on it is I believe the people from the auto repair groups pushed this through, and I'm sure they're going to back in and crash both sides of the cars as they get into these spots. But I was against this at the beginning, and I was also a little bit against the one-way street, but I said I would join in to make this whole thing unanimous to change the downtown area, walkable and bicycle-friendly community. So I'm going to go with it, but with the understanding if we get any more complaints, we'll have to probably bring it back. I did get a kick out of the first complaint that I got is you painted the lines wrong on the ground. They're going the wrong way. So I said, obviously, they weren't following the whole scene downtown, that it's going to be back-end parking. But we'll see how it goes, and anyhow, with that, please vote.
Motion approved 4-1, Sanchez, no.
Excuse me. And item 19, is that right, Mr.
Yes.
Clerk? Thank you.
Item 19 is authorization to award a contract in the amount of $1,451,880 to Hal Hayes Construction Incorporated of Riverside for the beach restroom project Phase 1. Approval of Amendment 1 in the amount of $257,010 to the professional services agreement with RRM Design Group for architectural and engineering design support, construction, survey, and geotechnical services for the project. Approval of professional services agreement with Construction Testing and Engineering Incorporated of Escondido in an amount of $118,054 for construction, inspection, and special inspection services for the project. Approval of professional services agreement with Dudek of San Marcos in the amount of $169,900 for construction management for the project, and authorization for the city manager to execute the agreements upon receipt of all supporting documents.
Thank you, sir. And Nathan, good evening.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. Tonight is an award of contract for 2 beach restrooms and 2 remodels in the beach area. Back in 2010, as a product of a waterfront master plan conducted by the Redevelopment Agency, one of the major goals of that plan, and one of the components that received a lot of community consensus, was redoing the beach restrooms on the waterfront. So tonight is the end result of one of those priorities. We will be redeveloping the restrooms at Breakwater and the Strand, the restrooms at Sportfisher, and the remodel of the pier restrooms, and a remodel of Wisconsin Street restrooms. In 2010, as we normally do, went through a community process in which the members of the community that were present at those meetings selected a contemporary design of these restrooms to be placed on the beach, and this is it before you. This will be at Sportfisher, and the same building will be at Breakwater as well. The other goal with these restrooms was to maximize fixture count within the square footage of the existing buildings. As you can see in this next slide, the locations of the 2 new restrooms north of the pier. Right now at Breakwater, we had 4 water closets and 1 urinal, and with the new restroom, we have 14 water closets to service the public within the same square footage. At Sportfisher, we have 5 water closets and 1 urinal in the existing bathrooms. The new restroom will have 14 water closets, so it's the same product. The mid-pier restrooms will stay the same fixture count. They will just be new tile, new fixtures, new partitions, new paint. Wisconsin, we do see a little increase. Right now you have 3 water closets, 1 urinal. We will get 5 water closets and 1 urinal out of that interior improvement. And Tyson Street restrooms will be addressed at a future date. The construction project itself will start at the beginning of October or late September. We have a 160-day working day contract. That puts us into basically a year from now when these 4 facilities will be open for the public to use. If you have any other questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. Have a seated sidebar, please. Sorry.
No public.
No public. Okay, back to the council. Councilmember Kern, please.
My little light keeps flashing. I don't know what's going on. Nathan, first of all, I want to compliment you on your work on the Mission Avenue project, the project manager there, and you kept it on track as close as possible, and it turned out great. So I have all the confidence in the world that you're going to carry this thing forward and get it done on time and on budget. So I'm going to move approval. This is one of those projects that we didn't have the money for it until we sold the mobile home park. And I directed that we take the money from the mobile home park and put it towards beach restrooms because that's what the community wanted. So hopefully from a year from now, we'll have a ribbon cutting and we all go in and flush the toilets and be happy. So thank you. I move approval.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Councilmember Feller, please.
We're going to end up with no bathrooms in a couple of places. So what is the plan for that as those are removed? Have you got portables, or is that the gist of it?
Yeah, during busy holiday weekends, we already place portable units along the beach area. So with the closure of the restrooms, primarily during the winter months and spring months, we'll have portable toilets out there to accommodate, the emergency situation.
So have you worked out some proportion? Because I know there's a lot of people that go in there, and one of the things that they have is hand washing. So I would suggest we need some of that.
We'll have all those facilities accommodated. That's part of it.
Very good. I'm curious how you're getting 5 in the Wisconsin bathrooms.
We flip-flop the men's and women's side, which allows us some extra square footage in the interior there. and we put the sinks on the outside of the building. So the hand washing component will be on the outside, so the sinks do not.
I see now. I was just thinking you're going to drill under Wisconsin or something. So anyway, I look forward to the ribbon flushing.
I see no other items. Anybody have any? I'm sorry, there were some, now there are none. Thank you, please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you, Nathan, I appreciate that. And can we go to item number 20, please?
Yes, item number 20 is authorization to award a contract in an amount not to exceed $4,441,825 to Canyon Springs Enterprises, DBA RSH Construction Services of Hemet for construction of the Fire Mountain and Guahomie No. 1 Reservoir Repairs Project, and authorization for the city manager to execute the agreement upon receipt of all supporting documents.
Carrie?
Good evening. I'm here to introduce Jason Daffern, our water project manager, who will be talking about the reservoir repair projects.
Thank you.
Honorable Mayor and council members, we are requesting award of construction contract for Fire Mountain and Guahomie No. 1 Reservoir Project. The Water Department has 12 reservoirs located at 9 different locations throughout the city. 2 of our oldest reservoirs are highlighted here on the map, Fire Mountain and Guahomie No. 1. Both reservoirs were constructed in 1956 and 1962 respectively. These reservoirs were constructed at that time to the standards, seismic standards that were approved in 1962 and 1956. Since that time, new seismic regulations require that these reservoirs receive seismic upgrades. Some of the improvements consist of new reinforced connections between the walls, the footings, the roofs, along with new pre-stressed cables, miscellaneous cosmetic repairs, and site improvements, and also repairs to the surrounding fences and the sites. On June 25th, Council approved plans and specifications and authorized city engineer call for bids. 2 bids received on the 29th of July. Staff reviewed the bids, evaluated them, and the lowest responsive bidder submitted by Canyon Springs Enterprises was in the amount of $4,441,825. Our engineer's estimate was $4.4 million. And as a general comparison to these numbers, the construction cost of new reservoirs is roughly in the range of $8 to $10 million. That does not include the cost of the demolition of the existing, which would add another $2 million and take that up to about 10 to 12 million. This project, this rehabilitation project, costs about 35 to 40% of what new construction is, and this will also add about 30 years of life service to the reservoirs. Staff then recommends council award this construction contract. This concludes my presentation. I'll be at sidebar for any questions.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the information.
No public.
No public. Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a question. There were 2 that responded, and the other one was over $1 million more. Can you, were you able to see, are you able to say why the other bid was so much more? And do we feel really comfortable with this bid? You indicated that our own estimate was 4.4, and it came in around that. But the other one came in $1 million more.
That's correct. This work is extremely specialized,
okay.
And so there's very few companies out there that bid this type of work. and most of them use the same subcontractors because it is so specialized. So I think it boils down to, at least the information we get throughout the industry is when one contractor is busy, the other one seems to have much better and more competitive pricing. So we feel very comfortable with the pricing. We contacted all of their references and got good references from everybody that's used them. So we feel confident in their ability to construct the project.
So you don't anticipate that this contractor with the lower bid is going to be looking to try to do a change order for because of additional costs, perceived costs?
Well, I think all contractors intend on trying to do that, but our plans and specifications are really good for this project. And I
Okay.
feel pretty comfortable with that we've got a good project out there and that we should be able to keep our costs within the budget that we have for the project.
Great, thank you. Then I move that we award the contract to Canyon Springs Enterprises.
Oh, I'll second. I have a
Thank you.
question.
Councilmember Kern, please.
Thank you. The timing and the sequence of this, are you doing them simultaneously, consecutively? And how do we account for water pressure and water flow when these are out of service?
Yes, they will be occurring, the construction and the outage will be occurring at the same time. And the main reason is because of the specialized piece of equipment that they bring in to wrap. They add new wrapping around the tanks. So the contractor gets a better price when they come in and do one tank and then move right to the next one. As far as the ability for our staff to manipulate the system and provide for appropriate pressures, we have run scenarios and worked very closely with our operations folks, and we're in a good shape to make sure that residents are not affected.
Time of the year, I mean, is it obviously wintertime, we have a lower water demand. Is that what you're planning on?
Yes, that we are, the first outage is scheduled for the 1st of October. Yeah, so we're moving very quickly to get the contractor out there and take advantage of the winter months when we do have low demand.
Well, my only concern about October, that's when the Santa Ana's come and we have fire issues in October. So hopefully you get with the fire department and find out what the forecast is for October before we start taking water tanks out of service. So, thank you.
Hi, the only question I really have is two very prominent neighborhoods for noise and construction. We're giving them plenty of notification. I know you always do, just making sure.
Yeah, we actually have actually it's this weekend, we have scheduled outreach in both neighborhoods. So we've contacted them with mailers and we've gotten some responses from that. And then we're setting up on the same day in the morning at one reservoir, in the afternoon at the other, and we'll do a community outreach and have people there. So it's very similar to what we did on our Myers Tate project, and it works very well with the local residents.
Well, I want to thank both of you and your staff. I know it's important. Water is our gold. Anyhow, with that, I appreciate it. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 10-minute break for staff can organize a few things and presentation, etc. If you haven't been here before, out the doors, up the stairs, water, restrooms, 10-minute break, and be back at 5. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second half of our council meeting. We start about 2 o'clock closed session, go into like the consent calendar gets us up to about 5 o'clock. That's where we are now. We have some events that we start off early, and I would ask you for housekeeping purposes, phone, pager, silent, whatever, or buzz, and that'll help us a lot. I'll have my aide read off some of the things we're going to do. Then we have some presentations. Got some VIPs that I'm really happy about tonight to let everybody see here. And we'll get started. Debbie, could we start off and the pledge and et cetera, please?
Please stand for tonight's invocation that will be delivered by City Clerk Zach Beck, who is also the youth pastor for Gateway Community Church.
Let us bow our heads. Father, come before you to simply say thank you. Thank you for the privilege, the blessing, the honor that we have of living in this great city. We come together as a community of different backgrounds, different beliefs, different presents, and different futures. And we come here to seek your guidance, your wisdom, and your discernment during the deliberations that transpire this evening. We lift up the members of our community. As school begins this season, we lift up all of the teachers, all of the students, all of the staffs within the schools in Oceanside and beyond. We lift them up for a safe school year, full of enlightenment, full of encouragement, full of peace. We lift up those who protect us in our community. We lift up our firefighters, our police, and the armed services who protect our country. Would you provide them and their families with peace and a sense of security and hope during this time? We lift up every member of our community, that you would be with them, presently focused in guiding and directing their thoughts, attitudes, and actions. And we lift up our council members this evening. We lift up Councilmember Feller, Councilmember Feline, Councilmember Kern, Councilmember Sanchez, and Mayor Wood. We pray that they would have guidance, wisdom, and discernment during their discussions this evening, and that everything would move forward in a peaceful, thoughtful, and intelligent manner. We lift these things up in your precious name. Amen.
Tonight's Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Brandon Adkins from the Oceanside Police Department Explorer Program. Brandon, would you please come forward?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
At this time, I'd like to call forward Brigadier General Edward D. Banta, Commanding General, Marine Corps Installations, West Marine Corps Base, Camp Pendleton. And Sergeant Major Scott Helms, Marine Corps Installations, West Marine Corps Base, Camp Pendleton.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is the new Commanding General, Marine Corps Base and Installations West, and the Sergeant Major for those same facilities. And I'm honored to have him here because my heroes, they live north of us up here in Camp Pendleton, the men and women that make everything possible, our freedom in the United States. This is your opportunity to see these heroes in person here, for you can get a picture of them, not just a name, get to know who these people are that represent a lot of people north of here, and also the people that live in Oceanside that work out there. So we have you here to say hi to everybody, explain whatever you want, including the Sergeant Major. We see each other a lot, the Sergeant Major and I. I know you've been here before, and you probably remember a different Oceanside a few years back. Sir, an honor and pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. You know, I had no idea that you had been here since 2 o'clock this afternoon until the mayor told me a little bit earlier. So hopefully everybody got a break. That's good. And we won't talk very long up here. And as I talked to the Sergeant Major earlier, he said he'd been here over a year and a half. And as you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, he's seen you quite a bit. So he said that I would be more than happy just to make the remarks for him. So unless Sergeant Major wants to jump in, I'm happy to do that. But hey, listen, everybody, I am truly honored to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation, Mr. Mayor. I know I met some of you at our change of command when General Bullard and I turned over back on the 1st of August. And I certainly look forward to meeting many more of you as we progress through our tour here. Coming back to Camp Pendleton is really
kind of a homecoming for me. I grew up in the San Diego area. My wife grew up in Coronado. I moved away in 1980 with my family, but have been back a couple times with the Marine Corps. To Camp Pendleton the last time was 1992 to 96, and then I was down at Miramar from 2003 to 2005. So coming back and being part of this community again is both an honor and really a privilege. And to be part of the long 72-year relationship that the Marine Corps has had with the city of Oceanside is truly a privilege. So for all of you who are part of the community and support the community, both to include our law enforcement, first responders, fire department. It is great to be here and to be part of your team. On a personal level, as the mayor alluded to, boy, what a change in Oceanside over the last 20 years since I was last here. We've been out with my family. We've been out walking, enjoying the businesses, enjoying the beach, and just seeing the vibrant community that is here now is really spectacular. And boy, seeing where Oceanside has come from and where it's going, it is just really spectacular. So it's great to be back, and we're proud to be part of the community. On behalf of the 48,000 odd Marine sailors and civilians that call Camp Pendleton home, and then all of the family members, thank you for all your support for our military members and for taking care of our families and our Marines and sailors, because they are also proud to be part of this community and stand side by side with you as great citizens and great Americans. So I look forward to meeting all of you, hopefully at some point in the coming months and years, and invite you to Camp Pendleton whenever you can make it over and come visit us and see what we do and meet our Marine sailors and families, because again, they love what they do, they're proud of what they do, and they're proud to be part of the Oceanside community. So, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, before you give that standard Oceanside applause at the end, I'm going to call two other Marines down to come down here, his driver and add a say. So I know I'm stepping on the general's toes, but these are also heroes. So if you come up here, I appreciate it. I would like to pass the mic to somebody I spend a lot of time with, the Sergeant Major of the base, Camp Pendleton and Installations West, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Again, my name's Sergeant Major Helms. I've been here about a year and a half at Camp Pendleton, and I can tell you, I'm truly impressed with the city of Oceanside and what it's done over the years as I've come back and forth into Southern California since the late 80s. So I applaud all of you for a great job at improving the city and the steps in the future that you guys hold. I look forward to my continue working with all of the citizens and the services here at Oceanside, and I hope to see you on the streets and say hi to you. Thank you.
Gentlemen, I'm going to do it, not the general. Please, Mike, name, where are you from? I appreciate it.
Sir, I'm Lieutenant Kevin Mills. I'm originally from Kansas City, Kansas, and I've been stationed here in Camp Pendleton a little over 2 years.
I'm Sergeant Andrew Strunk. Grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio. Been stationed here in Camp Pendleton for a little over a year and a half now.
Ladies and gentlemen, now I'd like to see an Oceanside welcome to these gentlemen. These are our heroes, at least mine. Let's get a standing ovation, please. Good night. Thank you very much. Hoorah. Thank you all for showing. I know you're busy. When you talk about Installations West, that's everything in the western United States, so he does a lot of traveling. So thank you, gentlemen, for coming here for a short time. With that, Debbie, please.
Would Alma Sanchez please come forward for the presentation of the Employee Services Awards?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is Service Awards, and I want to tell you, when you see the people that get awards over the year. These are long-standing employees that have been here for year after year after year, serving you, the public. So I like to give out these awards, and thank you very much for the pause, but please go right ahead.
Good evening, Mayor Wood, council members, department directors, and everyone in the audience. It is with great pleasure that we present to you tonight employees who have reached the praiseworthy accomplishment of 20 and 25 years of service with the City of Oceanside. Let's begin with our 20-year recipients. When your name is called, please come forward. Fred Armijo. Fred began his career with the City of Oceanside in 1989 as a beach lifeguard. He then became a full-time employee on June 12, 1994 as a police officer. Fred is currently a captain with the Oceanside Police Department. Let's help Fred celebrate 20 years of service to our community with a round of applause.
Thank you, Fred. I appreciate it. Fred and I were detectives together a few years back, and we had a great time. Thank you, Fred, for being here in all those years.
Next, we have Kelly Hatfield. Kelly has been a public safety dispatcher for the Oceanside Police Department since 1994. In the past 20 years, Kelly has made a difference in our community by being a calm voice when the public is in need, a strong partner for her fellow dispatchers, and a watchful eye for all of our police officers. Please give Kelly a round of applause. Kelly, thank you for making a difference one call at a time. Next, we have John Janda. John began his career with the City of Oceanside on June 12, 1994 as a police officer. John is currently a police officer with the Oceanside Police Department. Let's help John celebrate with a round of applause.
I can tell your family because you got the smile on you.
Thank you, John, for those 20 years of service to our community. Next, we have Greg Staley. Greg began his career with the City of Oceanside on June 12, 1994 as a police officer. Greg is currently a sergeant with the Oceanside Police Department. He supervises the police resource team who work on the beach and in the downtown area. They also work with the harbor on ocean rescues as deckhands. Let's help Greg celebrate 20 years of service to our community with a round of applause. Thank you, Greg. Next, we have Richard Green. Richard began his career with the City of Oceanside on July 5, 1994 as a Maintenance Worker 1. Richard is a Maintenance Worker 3 in the Oceanside Public Works Department. He has made significant contributions to the maintenance and appearance of the Oceanside Harbor. Let's help Richard celebrate 20 years of service to our community with a round of applause. Thank you, Richard. Next, we have Steve Rodriguez. Steve began his career with the City of Oceanside on July 17, 1994 as a Maintenance Worker 1. Steve is currently the Harbor Maintenance Supervisor in the Public Works Department. Let's help Steve celebrate 25 years of service to our community with a round of applause. Thank you, Steve. Next, we have our 25 years of service recipients. Keith Perillo. Keith began his career with the City of Oceanside on May 8, 1989 as a Maintenance Worker 1. Keith is currently a Public Works Inspector with the Development Services Department. Let's help Keith celebrate 25 years of service to our community with a round of applause.
By the way, Steve was a longtime neighbor of mine, number one. Let me use his custom Chevrolet in at least one of the parades that he fixes up. So thank you, Keith, for doing all that.
And thank you for
And last, we have William Berry. William began his career with the City of Oceanside on August 20th, 1989 as a Maintenance Worker 1. Several years later, he was hired at the La Salina Wastewater Treatment Plant as a wastewater operator in training. William is currently a Wastewater Plant Operator 3 in the Water Utilities Department. Let's help William celebrate 25 years of service to our community with a round of applause. Thank you, William. This concludes the Service Awards presentation. Thank you.
Thank you all. We appreciate you sitting through that, because what we see here is people get on here at the City of Oceanside. They stay their life here providing services, and I really appreciate that. That says a lot about these people. 20, 25, 30, 35, and some people 40 years of service. I appreciate that, and thank you all. Debbie, next.
I'd like to call forward Chief Frank McCoy, Lieutenant Leonard Cosby, Officer Ryan Malone, and Detective Ryan Davis, and the following participants from the Oceanside Police Department Explorer Program: Dominic Laporta, William Jester, Brandon Adkins, Claudia Neverez, and Charles Dabney. Explorers Dominic Laporta, William Jester, and Brandon Adkins represented the Oceanside Police Department at the Explorer competition in Valley Center on June 26th and 27th. These young people competed for 2 days with peers from 8 other police agencies in a variety of challenges, including vehicle felony stops, officer ambush, and an obstacle course. The Oceanside team won 3rd place overall and 1st place in the felony vehicle stop scenario with a perfect score. They also were presented the Honor Award, which is given to the team displaying the most commitment to the event. Explorers Claudia Navarez, Charles Dabney, and William Jester attended the San Diego County Law Enforcement Explorers Academy July 27th through August 2nd. This academy is held every year and has 3 phases: basic, intermediate, and advanced. Explorer Neverez was in the basic, Explorer Dabney was in the intermediate, and Explorer Jester attended for the 3rd year, completing the advanced phase. There were 241 explorers in attendance from as far away as Lakewood, Washington. They attended classes pertaining to law and participated in a variety of exercises which included physical training every day. Explorers Neverez, Dabney, and Jester successfully completed all of the requirements and graduated from the academy. These explorers and the rest who stand before you tonight comprise the Oceanside Police Department's Explorer Post number 285. The group was allowed to choose the ID number of 285 for itself. The number 285 was Officer Dan Besant's badge number. These explorers meet twice per month and assist in a variety of police functions, such as transporting officers on the 4th of July. They also travel to other cities and assist law enforcement officers with their duties there. The Explorer program is recruiting for other members at the present time and encourages young people between the ages of 15 and 20 to apply. Also with the Explorers tonight are some of their advisors. These men and women of the Oceanside Police Department have committed to give of their time and themselves to train and mentor these young people. They are engaged with them in the realm of law enforcement as these explorers prepare for careers in law enforcement or forensics, but they are also engaged with them in life. They discuss matters such as quality of life issues, ethics, integrity, life choices, and priorities. It is not possible for a program like this to succeed without having quality personnel such as we do with our explorers, nor is it possible for a program such as this to succeed without committed advisors. Please join with us as we acknowledge the exceptional men and women of the Explorer program of the Oceanside Police Department. Will they all come forward, please?
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for the opportunity to recognize these young men and women. These are young men and women from our community. These are young men and women that have a desire to be in law enforcement. Our goal is to put them in one of our uniforms, but some of them may want to choose other type of FBI or CIA or whatever, but the bottom line is that they're working with us. They do an excellent job. One of the things that you heard, and I'm going to be quick, that I'm very proud of is the Explorer competition that these young men and women participated in was the first competition that they ever participated in. They've never participated in a competition whatsoever. So they went up against teams that do this all the time. So coming in third place, I was very, very proud of them. So this Explorer program that we have is a program that, again, that we try to get our young men and women in our community that have an interest in law enforcement to come and work with our police officers to get positive mentors in their lives. And it takes a lot of work. And these two gentlemen that are hiding back here are two of our advisors, but they take a lot of their own time to work with these young men and women and guide them, train them, and help them to hopefully become fine police officers for us. We have hired some of our police explorers as police officers, and I believe we have two here that will be applying and testing with us this next month. So we hope that they do well in our process and that they can become Oceanside police officers, again, getting kids from our community into our police department. So that's good. So again, if I could have Lieutenant Cosby come up here for a second, say a couple words. He's the lieutenant in charge of this program.
Thank you, Chief. Who you see before you are the explorers who represent not only the police department, but they represent your city. It's a fine group of young people. I'm truly impressed with them this year. I'm going to give the mic up in just a second, otherwise you're doomed to be here for hours and hours. We have 19 young people in the program right now, and we are openly recruiting. And the young men and the young women you see before you, they succeed at what they do in spite of me. I'm just the manager. These young people, it's a great group of young people. They are learning from officers such as Ryan and, Ryan and Ryan. Double R. Ethics, accountability, responsibility, service, fairness, equality, enforcing the law. These are the things these young people are learning, and they've made each of us very proud of what they've done this year. Thank you.
We're going to get a photo in the section, but we'll probably have to have two aisles, get a little tighter this way. A couple things, if I may, I want to clarify. First off, this gentleman right here is not my father. I'm going to tell you that right now. I know he's got my beard, but anyhow, a great officer I work with. Here's the other one I really enjoy. It gets to the point of being, as you get older, step forward. One of the officers I worked with on the street as a patrol officer and a detective was his dad. Now I see him here and I go, wow, I'm old. Anyhow, the other thing, I'm proud to see family come back to do it again the second time, and thank you very much, Mr. Laporta. And I enjoyed working with your dad. Thank you very much. Back to your team here. If you guys have anything to say about these young men, be my guest. Could you kind of make two aisles and tighten it up so we can get a photo shot here? Thank you very much, because I know you want it. Can I get the tall, ugly ones off to one side? Hey guys, you can get in the picture too, because okay. Debbie, can you take another one with these guys joining? Right here. You did all the hard work. Let's you get in the picture. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all. I appreciate what you do for us. I know the price is not very much. How much is doubling zero? I'll double your pay right now. There's a double on zero. So thank you all. Please, I appreciate it. You can go on your way.
Next, we have the Mayor's Oceanside Business Member Spotlight. I'd like to call forward from the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce, President and CEO David Nidegger, Chairman of the Board of Directors Jan Wittmeister, Director and Chairman of the Membership Committee C.C. Haas, and valued Oceanside business owner Harlan Dunn from Life Assured Insurance Services.
Gets it first.
Okay, so we're here tonight to recognize Harlan Dunn as the Business of the Month. And there are reasons for that. Harlan actually was born in California and is also a long-time Oceanside resident. And as Business of the Month, I can talk about his business and how well he's running his business and what he's doing, but I will not. Because very important for us as a chamber also is to create a prosperous community, not just focus on the business, but make this a better place to live. And I think Harlan excelled in that aspect. Because he is not only a business owner, but his whole life he has been helping Oceanside to be a better community. He has been volunteering, whether it's a Pub Scouts or in his school. He has been a past president of the Kiwanis local chapter. He made a little transgression. He has been the chairman of the board of the Vista Chamber, but now he is back in Oceanside and he is active in committees in the Oceanside Chamber, helping the chamber out. And I want to thank you, Harlan, for all the work you do for the community. It's not only running your own business, but it's your effort, relentlessly I might say, your whole life, and putting your own time in there, unrewarded, whatever it was, to help the community in various capacities. So I think we can use a lot more citizens like yourself to help this place be a better place. Thank you very much.
Harlan, I just have to say that working with you at the Chamber on different committees and in different aspects, you have been an asset and you have helped the business owners in the community prosper, and that makes us a prosperous Oceanside. So thank you very much for your service. We appreciate it. And on behalf of the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce and Mayor Wood, we want to present you with the Member of the Month Award.
Harlan, it is obviously a no-brainer when we're thinking about you, but before I talk about you, I'd like to thank the mayor once again for allowing us to come here and recognize the business folks in our community. We have some wonderful folks that are here, and Harlan is just another example of what the business community means to the city and our growth. And Harlan, thank you very much. I know as long as I've been here, you've been coming to meetings, and I've been here for 17 years. I know you've been doing a great job, so sincerely appreciate that. Thank you.
Just real quick, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, David. And I love Oceanside.
Picture? Well, I tell you, when you learn from those big speeches like that last one, that's pretty important. He's learned his lesson. Be short and sweet, to the point. Let's hear it from. Thank you, folks. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate your patience. I think it's important to say thank you to a lot of people who do a lot of things in the city. You need to be our employees, explorers, businesses, etc. It takes some of your time and hours, but I do appreciate your patience. Thank you very much. With that, we'll get started again. Do you have the communications off the agenda?
Yes.
Let's take that next.
So we're going to go to communication on off-agenda items. Just a quick reminder to the public, we do have a decorum policy that's in place just in regards to communicating with the council. If you could do so in as respectful a manner as possible, where we're not directly talking to certain council members, but to the council as a whole, as an entire body, and just showcasing a manner of decorum where there's plenty of respect being showcased, and that would be the request. First, we have Pam Chambers.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council members. Pam Chambers, 1922 South Freeman Street in Oceanside. And it's funny today, I just wanted to thank the council on a day of thank yous for all that you do, each one of you, your commitment and your service. I've lived in Oceanside for over 30 years with my 3 sons and my retired Marine husband. We were speaking about Harbor Days the other day and all the fun we've had over the years and all the different events. And I know you all do your part. I would like to say over 30 years I have served on committees, and I know that Council Member Jerry Kern I've served on. He's been the head of committees. He's been trash collector, traffic advisor. I've seen him at all events doing all things way before he was on the city council member, on the city council, and council member Fellers as well. Whether it's coaching Little League, school events, the list goes on and on and on, and I'd like to personally thank them and for their service to the community outside the city council. So thank you.
Next, we have Joan Brubaker.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Joan Brubaker, 1606 Hackamore Road, Oceanside. At the last council meeting, one person addressed the council and the mayor and made mention casually of not interference, but some interaction between the council and the building association people, and some changes were made to the building department. And indeed, this is very true. A short time after the council had, as we called it, the KFC crew, the building department was asked to have several meetings, which they had around 6 of them. And when it was first assembled, the public assumed that they were able to attend because it was an open meeting. People weren't happy about it as far as the council members that were there in presence and a few of the building association people that were in the committee. But they did allow the public to stay, and that's how I and other people were able to watch the meetings. However, a reporter was there, was kind of expelled from the meeting. So there was no reporter and there was no publication of the thing happening. Now, as I said, there were about 6 meetings, and actually it was done to change a few of the conditions that Oceanside had been using. The things that were mainly changed was density in some cases of building. Other was the placement of the affordable housing that would be afforded. At that time, before the KFC crew came on, the builders were allowed to put $10,000 for an affordable unit for each unit they built. Councilman Kern urged or asked, and it was adopted, that that was dropped to $1,000 per unit. As a result, I wondered how you'd get 1,400 units, which he claimed he could produce. I'm not sure that that was what he really meant, or maybe I misunderstood. But I do wish to applaud the city of Oceanside for, at the present time, they've had 432 units of various affordable housing. They've either been purchased or refurbished. 180 are in the process of being built. And when financing comes before this body, you would almost think the financing, even though it may be grant money, was coming from the councilman's retirement funds, but eventually they ran out. I really applaud the city, and I haven't seen the 1,400 units yet, but they may occur. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Nick Rice. Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I want to thank you very much for your service in shepherding our city into what we all hope it will become. My concern, I live at 133 Sherry Lane in the Salina Mobile Village on Coast Highway with Morse and also Oceanside Boulevard being our two parallel streets. We have the benefit of an extremely beautiful creek, Alta Loma Creek. Also, you're aware of the 1997 flooding that took place in there. I found it very ironic in that we had a meeting at the village with one of the representatives from the fire department, very proactive, thank you very much, about tsunamis. We live in a tsunami zone, also about fires and floods. But yet, I began to think in my own mind, what about the flood channel that has been built, which is really nice, but the problem is it's full of debris. And I wrote letters, 2 letters, 3 emails to Miriam, I forget her last name, assistant engineer. She responded to me by telling me there was no obstruction in the channel, which I thought rather odd. I invited her to come out. I'll personally show it to her. It's actually an island of dirt with foliage growing out of it. So my concern, of course, is should we have any other rains like we did in 1997, then the citizens, the businesses that parallel that are going to be in grievous danger. So I'd appreciate if you could look into that, because I got another email from another employee of the assistant engineering department trumpeting the same thing. There's no debris at this time. If you see any shopping carts or bicycles, please send us a picture. I invited them numerous times. Come down. I'll personally give you a tour. But they chose not to. So I'm just asking for your help here. My other concern is the egregious omission of Buccaneer Beach bathrooms on what you just voted on. I live in that area. I go there. And as my grandson said a couple days ago, Grandpa, these bathrooms are ghetto. And they are. The folks that you have subcontracted with to clean them are completely derelict in their duty. They do not clean them. Just come any day. You don't want your wife going there. You don't want your daughters going there. It's just not a really good place. The building itself, the structure as well, is falling down on the folks that lease it from the city and pay you money to lease it to run a restaurant, the Buccaneer Restaurant. So I'd really appreciate it if you could somehow look at adding the Buccaneer on there. We're only talking about a very small bathroom, but it's one of the gems of all the beaches that we have in this city. And I know that you folks will take a look at it and possibly do some add-on there. And real quickly, too, someone mentioned about the behest of the bicycle community as far as a mission. Please, can you have the PD come on Pacific Highway when a peloton of 30 and 40 riders come on the weekends and don't stop at the crosswalks? They're violating the law. They're a vehicle. Please, if you could just have somebody sit there, give them a few tickets, give them a sign, give them something to protect the men and women and children and the residents of the city of Victorville. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good evening.
Next, we have Faye Schultz.
Hello, Mayor, council members. My name is Faye Schultz, and I have been a resident of Oceanside for over 14 years now. As well, I'm the president of Spot Rescue. So for those of you who are not familiar with Spot, we're your local rescue group. We save dogs and cats from shelters that otherwise would not make it alive. We've been a group for about 4.5 years. And we have saved over 1,700 animals in our community that otherwise would have died. I know we've been talking about the Oceanside puppy store with the puppy mills. I know you've been shown images, how cruel and inhumane it is. I agree with all of that. However, today I'm talking to you about the burden that I believe that it is to the city financially and also image-wise. There's been a loss of revenue to the city because of Oceanside puppy. I ran a successful business in Oceanside for 12 years. I was very proud of Oceanside, even the years that we didn't look so good. and I had a very successful business. When all of this came out with Oceanside Puppy, I wrote a letter saying, please, we don't want to not support Oceanside anymore, but we will. And one of the things is I pulled my business of 12 years from Oceanside and moved it to another town that has an ordinance that will not sell dogs and cats from stores. So it is a loss of revenue. Also, I know that you say that it's their right to have a legal business in Oceanside and it brings in revenue at any cost. I also remember living here when there was a strip club right downtown in Oceanside. And we paid generously to move them out because it was not the image that we wanted for our town. And I agree with that. We did the right move. Look at downtown now. It's awesome. It's a town that we should be very proud of. It was progressive, not digressive. Please, let's not digress. I also wanted to introduce you to a dog. His name is Baloo. He was 2 months old when he was purchased. He was purchased from Oceanside Puppy at 2 months old. At 5 months old, he was dumped at our shelter. He cost $2,000. They received the revenue of $2,000. It now became our burden. And this is the problem with Oceanside Puppy, is their dogs end up becoming our burden. We are the taxpayer citizens that have to house, feed, and take care of these at our local shelters. This dog was slated to be killed. We would have had to pay for that cost too if it wasn't for spot rescue. Here were some of the things that were wrong with him. You can see he, according to our vet and our trainers, he was a genetic mess due to poor breeding, both physically and emotionally. We at Spot Rescue had to pay for 3 eye operations for him. We had to pay for a herniated umbilical cord to be fixed. He has joint effusion, pressure swelling in his legs. He has a condition that's genetic where he heals very slowly. He's not all there. He is aggressive, he's submissive, urinates. He's just an absolute mess. He urinates and defecates in his crate, which is not normal behavior, but it is consistent with puppy mills. Very quickly, I want to let you know he is not alone. We get calls on our hotline all of the time from Marine families who have been given discounts and financial planning from Oceanside Puppy, but yet they can't afford the payments, and they call us begging us to please take over their payments. And the burden lies with us citizens. Those dogs will end up in the shelter. Salinas gets the revenue, we get the burden. It's time to do what your citizens elected you to do. Please support us. Let's not let this type of business be in Oceanside. This is not the image that we want, and this is not how we want our taxpayer revenue to go. Thank you.
Next, we have Rosemary. Sorry.
Good evening, council members and mayor. My name is Rosemary Huxley, and I own property in the city, but I do not reside in Oceanside. Before I go any further, I just want to compliment all of you for the fabulous way that you have rebuilt Oceanside and made it, instead of a drive-through place, a destination place for people. Aside from that, I want to speak a little bit about Oceanside Puppy and my experience with them. First off, I want to tell you that I'm not a protester, but I am in favor of what the protesters are doing at Oceanside Puppy. I myself personally in bygone years have had a dog I purchased from a puppy store that came from a puppy mill. The dog had horrible heart problems, died early, and cost me an innumerable amount of money to take care of the problem. I just wanted to let you know exactly my personal experience with Oceanside Puppy. I've probably been to that protest about 5 times in the last year, probably the last 15 to 30 minutes, because I'm not a protester. Actually, I was meeting up with a couple people that were my friends. By being there, I almost got hit by their glass door, swung open and it wasn't just an easy swing, push, deliberate swing. Another time I came there, and one of the workers came out and was using profanity, all sorts of 4-letter words and things that really were extremely discourteous and rude to one of the protesters. One other time I came there, and this is almost every time that I come within the last 30 minutes. Another time, one of the workers came and actually challenged one of the protesters to a fight and had a very aggressive body position getting up in that individual's face. And lastly, I don't go there anymore simply because last time I went there, somebody tried to run me down by about this much when I was walking across the lot. The thing that I don't really understand is why this business is allowed to carry on with their behaviors, number one, that are just appalling, and number two, with promoting abuse to animals. Basically, they're buying and pandering abuse of animals by purchasing puppy mill dogs. And the interesting thing to me is all the progressive cities along the coastline, from San Diego all the way getting up into Oceanside, Orange County, they have ordinances against the puppy mill dogs being sold in animal stores or puppy stores. I am sort of curious also to the strip mall that Oceanside Puppy is in. There's never hardly any cars in it. A lot of the storefronts are vacant, okay? And myself personally, if just being a regular person, if I see any kind of picketing or anybody standing in front of stores and they have any beef, I don't shop there. And I myself personally will never go in that shopping center again because of the levels of intimidation that business uses to get the protesters to leave. Anyway, I hope you will reconsider your decision and have another vote on this, and I appreciate the time to come and talk to all of you, and your city is beautiful. Thank you.
Next, we have Leslie Davies.
Oceanside Puppy is bad for our city. It not only costs our taxpayers money, but Mr. Salinas is not buying his puppies from local breeders. Instead, he is purchasing his puppies from Goodman, Missouri, which just happens to be the puppy mill capital of the United States. He gets his puppies from puppy mills. And since there is no legal definition of what constitutes a puppy mill, Mr. Salinas can claim that his puppies are not from mills, but we all know they are in fact from puppy mills. When your breeding facility is so large that you need to be regulated by the United States Department of Agriculture, any reasonable person would conclude that that's a puppy mill. When your product falls under the jurisdiction of livestock, you are a puppy mill. When the USDA says that the length of your body plus 6 inches is acceptable living space for our companion animals, you are a puppy mill. He says he only deals with the USDA regulated breeders who have indirect violations. Laurel Lee Thomas is one of the breeders on here, right here. And Mr. Salinas is very proud of this breeder. She is, she has 773 dogs and 302 puppies on her property. This is a puppy mill, and this is the USDA inspection report from that breeding facility. Christy Yates is another breeder Mr. Salinas uses. He's proud of the fact that she's only been cited for indirect violations such as multiple dogs housed together, and only one dog would have enough space to sit, stand, lie down, and turn around freely. And by the way, these are pictures of some of the indirect violations that Mr. Salinas is so proud of some of the breeders he currently is using. These are all indirect violations, and Mr. Salinas has admitted several times that he's very proud to deal with these kind of breeders. He only deals with the USDA responsible breeders with the indirect violations. Unfortunately, there is no legal definition of what a puppy mill is. I have an entire notebook filled with pictures of kennel carts taken from inside Mr. Salinas' store along with the USDA inspection reports. We elect our officials to help protect our local consumers from bad business practices. Councilman Kern and Councilman Feline, there is an election in November, and when we go to the polls, we will remember who voted to allow this store into our city. Thank you very much.
Next, we have David Terrell.
How you doing?
I'm David Terrell. I live at 276 North El Camino Real in Oceanside. Mayor Wood, Deputy Mayor Sanchez, Mr. Feller, Mr. Felina, and Mr. Kern. Some of you like outsourcing. Outsourcing means that a City of Oceanside function is not responsible to the citizens anymore. You still need to pay a fair day's wage for a fair day's work, which includes pension, so we don't save anything. And also, we citizens are going to have to pay executive fees on top of the salaries. Mr. Feline and Mr. Kern are the... Anyway, you've seen that we have the best police force in the county. So, we'd like to outsource our police department. That way, they aren't responsible to us, and we pay all our police salaries plus an executive fee. You notice that we have the best fire department and ambulance service in the county. So you'd like to outsource our fire department. That way they aren't responsible to us and we pay all our fire department salaries plus an executive fee. I don't know when you noticed that there are books in Oceanside, but you did, and so you want to outsource our library. That way they aren't responsible to us and we pay all our library salaries plus an executive fee. Those executives like their salaries big. They need to have those fancy cars and fancy suits so they can go around to city councils and convince them to spend a lot more money than necessary to get a lot less service for their citizens. Now here's something that could solve a bunch of your problems. Why don't you outsource something to the citizens of Oceanside? You'd still be outsourcing and paying those executive fees like you like to spend, but the outsourced function would be responsible to a citizen of Oceanside. Outsource your emails to me for, let's say, $100,000, give or take. Well, that sounds about right. You could outsource your official emails to me. Every official email that the City of Oceanside sends, you'd send to me, and then I'd send it off to your intended recipient. There. Makes more sense than outsourcing our heroes and our education. I'm an Oceanside resident who votes, and you can outsource your emails to me. Until then, I'm voting for Chuck Lowry and Dana Corso.
Next, we have Sheila Cada.
Sheila Cada, 5160 Avenida de la Plata, Oceanside. The thing I'm worried about is I know that for every good job, it creates like 10 other jobs, and I want to save money. I lived in Portland. They saved jobs. They try to do everything they can not to outsource or anything like that. So I'm for that. It works. And so Melrose Extension is, they have spent millions of dollars on just studies on why they should do it. Well, the Planning Commission, they told them, it wasn't good not to do it. And then I find out that they're going to save less than 3 seconds, or 3 seconds to with this Melrose Extension. Why would they spend over $2 million on studies for an extension that is going to save less than 3 seconds? Also, it's going to, they're going to take away 4 properties, and one of them is a small business, which is Dos Los Palmas Horse Ranch. It's going to obliterate that. We're supposed to save jobs and save businesses. Why would they do that to get rid of a business? So, and then today somebody told me, which I'm not sure about, but it's going to, kids, how are the kids going to cross in a certain area? They said, do they have to build a wall or something for that? I'm not quite sure what they're talking about that, but people over there are really worried about how their kids are going to get to school because of this Melrose Extension. Then they closed Jeffries Ranch Road, which to reopen it will cost $1 million. And so how much did it cost to close it? Probably $1 million. That's just throwing money away. I want leaders to save money. I want people to save jobs. You know, you outsource the water bills, and it's a mess. I have had nothing but trouble with my water bills ever since I moved back from Portland. And it's outsourced. You can't get to talk to anybody. Kern says that we are that we pay the firefighters in our area more than any other city in San Diego. That's not true. We're like number 8 or 10 or something like that. We need to have leaders that care about money, care about keeping jobs, care about the people of Oceanside. And another thing, and they say, oh, Oceanside is doing really well. Well, Oceanside isn't doing really well, because between 40 to 60% of people in Oceanside, their income is below self-sufficient. See, they don't have enough money for the basic needs, and in many areas it's 60%. So Oceanside's not doing that great, and all they want to do is outsource these jobs. Kern, Feller, and Feline. I say we need people in office that want to bring back jobs. Vote for Dana Corso and Chuck Lowry.
Next, we have Susie Schroyer.
Susie Schroyer. I live at 276 North El Camino Real in Oceanside. Honorable Mayor, Ms. Sanchez, and other council members, thank you for hearing me and hopefully also listening to me. Oceanside is a city. Oceanside is a city on the coast of Southern California. As such, it is in high demand for developers, and especially developers of hotels. Almost no city on this coast allows hotels to be built anymore, and the demand for hotels is going up daily. Fiscally responsible leaders of a coastal California city only need to pick the highest offer. You may need to wait a few months, but there will always be a higher offer. Despite this, you have chosen to do this fiscally irresponsible thing and pay $17 million for a hotel where the developer only needs to pay $3 million. You don't even get a piece of the profits for the investment. In another quote-unquote hotel investment, you promised to give away your income for 15 years. As angry as I am over this is usual for you. You passed a law to take away my home and take away most of manufactured homes in the city and give them to out-of-town developers. You tried to give my library away to an out-of-town corporation. You tried to give away my police force and my fire department to non-residents of Oceanside. In every case, you paid the out-of-towners for the honor of being able to pay the out-of-towners. May I remind you that you were elected to represent the citizens of Oceanside. However, you are representing the out-of-town business interests. It is the citizens of Oceanside that will vote you out. I'm voting for Chuck Lowry and Dana Corso to represent Oceanside on the City Council. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Aaron Riley Crosco.
Good evening, Mayor Woods, council members. My name is Erin Riley Crosco, and I am a lifelong resident of Oceanside. I live at 1845 Down Street, and I have a 25-year business in Oceanside called Dance Unlimited, located at 4263 Oceanside Boulevard. I have over 400 families at my studio, and we participate in many events throughout the year that Oceanside puts on, such as Oceanside Harbor Days, Art Days, etc. The main reason I felt compelled to speak tonight is to give a voice to the issue of the Oceanside puppy store, puppy mill. These innocent animals that reside in the Oceanside puppy store do not have a voice and cannot be here to represent themselves. I find it so utterly disappointing and shocking that my city, my lifelong city, and half of our city council members would be in favor of promoting cruelty to animals by supporting a puppy mill puppy store in our beautiful city. The majority of dogs and cats sold at Mr. Salinas' puppy store are mass-produced, as you know, at profit-driven breeding facilities and shipped in large semi-trucks, and then snuck in by Mr. Salinas and his employees. And when I say snuck in, below is a cease and desist letter from an adjoining business that I just happened to do business with. When speaking with him one day, he was complaining to me about the large semi-trucks that routinely at night drop off all of these young underage puppies. Most of them are not even the 8 weeks of age that the government implies. They sneak them in the back windows of this puppy store. If the Oceanside puppy store is an above-board animal-loving pet store, why do they sneak in their incoming animals through secret backdoor windows and park their semi-trucks in the adjoining shopping center? I implore you, council members Kern and Feline, please make Oceanside a city with responsible businesses, one who demonstrates compassion, forward-thinking, and humane treatments of animals and citizens. It's a famous quote by Immanuel Kant that he who is cruel to animals becomes hard also in his dealings with men. We can judge the heart of a man by his treatment of animals. I also can share with you that I am the owner of a rescue dog from a puppy mill. I've had her for 8 years now. She was so traumatized from her years in the puppy mill that it took almost 3 years and the help of Caesar Milan to get her to where she is a happy, healthy dog today. Again, I know my time is up and I had much more I wanted to share, but I please ask you to reconsider and please put a ban. I'm not asking you to close the store, but please, I am advocating for the store not to go out of business, but to support fellow small businesses and mandate that this puppy store procure their puppies from humane sources like local rescue agencies and breed-specific rescue groups. There are millions of animals getting put to sleep each year. Our city does not need to be known for this kind of suffering. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have Maria Russell.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor Wood and City Council members. My name is Maria Russell, and I am a 13-year resident of the East Side neighborhood. Since the economy collapsed in 2008, many folks are still struggling. I personally see an increase in our city's homelessness, folks that have mental illness, drug addiction, and yes, sadly enough, our veterans. My family and I live close to a canyon. We see makeshift pop-up tents, which people live in. Recently, my husband and I encountered an SUV that was parked for several days in front of the canyon. My husband approached the vehicle, and it turned out to be a couple from Wisconsin who became homeless in the downturn. We gave them water, some protein bars, and a list of possible resources. They were grateful, and they moved on. From what I understand, OPD is in the process of hiring 2 police officers to act as social workers to redirect some of these folks into appropriate agencies. In my opinion, 2 officers sounds like a little Band-Aid on a big problem. I feel the real problem is the short-sightedness of some of the council members, like Councilmember Kern and Councilmember Feline, who feel that closing homeless shelters and soup kitchens is being a good taxpayer's advocate. And yet, welfare for developers in the form of subsidies for hotel development is okay. Why unravel a safety net that is already in place, like homeless shelters and soup kitchens, which by their nature give the opportunity for folks to reintegrate back into society? I'm only one person, and I know my vote counts. I'm urging everybody out there to exercise their vote and elect council members that are going to work for all residents and not just a few selected developers. Thank you.
Next, we have Diana Sunday.
Good evening, Mayor Wood and council members. My name's Diana Sunday. I've been a resident of the East Side neighborhood for 3 years.
Speak up a little bit or move the mic. We can't hear you.
Okay.
Thank you, hon.
My mother was an Oceanside resident for over 30 years until she passed 3 years ago, so I'm well aware of what has gone on in the city of Oceanside for several years. What I'd like to address at this time is the injustice and outrageous changes in rules and regulations to those community services that help our homeless and our needy. It personally hits me because I stand in these lines for my 85-year-old parents and my 75-year-old aunt, and the changes that have been made this year have been astronomically ridiculous. My parents make a very small income, and even the food I buy for them is not enough, so I stand in line 6 times a month for them. The rules that have changed is that we can't go on a property before 4 p.m., which means we stand out in the hot sun for 2 to 4 hours to get our little box of food, where there are 20 chairs sitting in the shade where handicapped, disabled, and senior citizens could possibly sit and get in the shade. I, being a senior citizen and somewhat healthy, have almost had heat stroke this summer on 2 occasions. I think that Mr. Kern and Mr. Failing have failed to realize that these soup kitchens and these food boxes are not just for the homeless that they find disgusting or the sick. They're for people that have worked their lives to live in a decent state. And I'm appalled at what's being done to these local resources for these people. And I think everybody knows who I am not voting for come this election. Thank you for your time.
No further public on this item.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Could you go to item number 28, please?
Yes, item number 28 is adoption of a resolution to adjust fees for new meters and their installation, adjust fees for utility services related to door tags and automated phone notification of delinquencies, after-hour service calls, reinstatement of services, broken locks, broken angle stops, illegal use of spacers, custom requested meter exams, industrial waste permits, and fats, oils, and grease permits, establish a fee for the inspection of sewer laterals, and direction staff to implement the changes.
Thank you very much. Before we get started, I'm the mayor. I'll open this public hearing and request disclosures from council members. Can I start with you, Jack?
Only staff.
None.
Staff?
Staff only.
Mr. Clerk, correspondence and petitions?
None.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll begin the testimony with our Director of Water Services, Ms. Dale. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm before you today to discuss proposed new water meter and utility service fee adjustments. The adjustments for new water meters and other utility services would allow for the full recovery of costs for labor, parts, vehicles, and services associated with providing the service. The fees do not exceed the city's cost to provide the service and affect only those customers receiving the service. All fees presented before you today follow cost of service methodology. For new water meter and installation fees, these fees were last updated in December of 2012. The fees before you today include the cost of the meters and as well as the installation labor. The fees impact customers that are buying into the system, and the current fees do not adequately reflect the cost of providing the services. This is a table of the current fees as well as proposed fees and any increase or decreases on any of the fees. As you'll note, there are two of the larger meters that have fees that are going down, and that is due to a change in the manufacturer that's being used by the water department. So there is a reduced cost for those larger meters. I also have before you new utility service fees, mostly updates to fees that have been in existence. As with the meter fees, these fees were last updated in December of 2012. Most of the fees before you today impact customers that are delinquent in paying their bills, are starting new service or transferring service, or causing damage to city equipment. As with the meter fees, these are the current and proposed utility service fees, with the current fee, proposed fee, an increase or the decrease in the fees. There's one new utility service fee before you, which is the encroachment fee or sewer lateral inspection fee. This is a new fee when a homeowner needs to assess the city sewer while performing repairs to a city lateral, and I was before you several months ago discussing ordinance changes to allow homeowners to do the repairs, and that fee is set at a $50 fee. With the adjustment in the fees, there are adjustments in the annual revenues. Our estimate based on last year's projected numbers for these services is $178,000 in additional revenue, which, as I mentioned before, covers the cost of providing the service. And in summary, the proposed updated fees recover the costs of the services being provided. New meter and installation cost increases impact only those buying into the system, and the average customer that's paying their bill on time will not be affected. And with that, I'll be at the side if you have any questions.
Thank you, Carrie. I'm sorry. I apologize. Have a seat at the sidebar. Public.
Yes, this is a public hearing item. Any members of the public who wish to speak on this item and this item only may come forward at this time.
Mayor, council members, Jim Minette, 127 Cherry Lane, Vice Chairman of the Utilities Commission. I just want to compliment staff on their due diligence in bringing this issue before the commission. And we have heard this in the extreme. We have also questioned it, a number of different issues. And what you have has been the result of that. One issue that has brought up since this is an idea of maybe including in the future an inflationary index. I don't know how the council feel about that, but that is something that we can consider in the future. Thank you.
Any other members of the public wish to speak on this item may come forward at this time. I see none.
Hearing, you can go back to the council, please. Councilmember Feline, please. I'll skip you then. Councilmember Kern.
Okay, we'll try the mic this time. It's not flashing. I'm going to move approval on this because, we do have to do. I just have one question. On the customer request for infield meter exam, the $150. If they request that and you go out there and you find that our meter is defective, is that money refunded to them?
I believe that it is, and just for your information, we get about 2 requests a year, and typically when a customer requests one of those types of tests, it doesn't turn out that way. It's usually recording slow.
Well, that's fine. I just want to make sure that the public's aware that, if you really I don't want them not reporting it, oh my God, I have to pay a $150 fee, but if you really suspect something's wrong with your meter, yeah, it's going to cost you if it's not our fault, but if you're vindicated, that you get your money back. I just want to make sure that happens. But anyway, I'll move approval.
We have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor? Yeah, then your light was on, no. Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else, their lights aren't on, and with that, please vote.
It'll pass without him.
Okay, all right.
You're going to have to wait for him.
Okay. Motion approved 4-0. Councilmember Feller abstain.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. If we could go on to item number 30.
Yes. Item number 30 is request by Mayor Wood to make appointments to or motions for removal from some or all of the city's advisory groups.
Thank you. I'd already presented this a week in advance to all the council members. Went through this and made my recommendation. I would ask for approval.
I would like to just separate the Utilities Commission vote, and I'll move the approval of the balance.
Okay? I'll do that.
Second.
Second, thank you. So go ahead and let's do a
Vote on that.
vote on that.
Let's vote on that one, then we'll take Utilities Commission.
Thank you. Please vote.
Motion approved, 4-0, Feller absent.
And I cannot support the appointment of the Utilities Commission, so I'm going to vote no on that one.
And thank you very much. As Mr. Knott knows and other people know, that he was put on some of these commissions because he had a lot of contact and support by the senior community. He doesn't appear to have that anymore, and I've been asked not to put him on. So whatever it might be, if you don't support it, that's fine, but you're also saying no to the guy that is replacing him?
I'm sorry, which one?
The move for Wayne, you're saying no to this?
No, I'm just, the idea from alternate one to regular replace, no. I'd like to leave Mr. Dangle at alternate one. Just leave it the way it is.
Well, that'll have to come back again then.
Okay.
Right now, please vote.
Well, we better clarify.
Clarify,
So
yeah.
you're making a motion for this appointment, and I'm going to vote no on that one.
Yeah, that's right.
Are you
People know that.
seconding,
Can we
are
have a
you
second?
seconding the mayor's motion for the appointment?
No.
There's no motion then?
There's no
It dies
motion. We'll
without a
bring it
motion.
back at a later date then.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, item
I'm
number 30.
assuming after that, 31?
Yes, item number 31 is quarterly budget update.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council members. My name is James Riley. I'm the Financial Services Director, and I'll be presenting to you the financial status report for the year ending June 30th, 2014. The focus of this presentation will be on the general fund. The report that you received in your packet is for informational purposes only. The actual year-to-date numbers that were in that packet are unaudited numbers and don't include all the year-end accruals. However, the final audited financial statements will be available in December of 2014. But the information that was presented to you in there did show where we are to date before we actually have those final accruals in. What I have here before you is a summary of the general fund activity for the year ending June 30, 2014. And we're looking at a comparison between what the adopted budget was for 2013-14 and what the amended budget was and the change in the budget. When you look at the revenues, you notice that they increased approximately $5 million over the adopted budget. Most of this is due to increases in property taxes, sales taxes, TOT tax, ambulance billing, and charges for services. On the expenditure side, there was an increase of $2.7 million over the adopted. This was due to two issues primarily. It was continuing appropriations from the prior year and for an adjustment made during the second quarter for workers' comp claims. And as this money was allocated, police, fire, and development services were the departments that were primarily affected. And finally, on this last slide, is just to give you an idea of the available selected reserves estimated at June 30, 2014 for selected available reserve balances. That concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions.
No public on this item.
Thank you. Public on any of this?
No public on this item.
Thank you. Back to the council. Councilmember Kern.
My button's not working. I mean, there's something wrong with this whole thing tonight because my red light's flashing and my green light's not coming on, and I don't know what's going on. So I don't know. I didn't push my green button. So
It's
don't.
not
And this is
showing
an informational item only, right?
The city manager's button's working, so I'll call on him.
Well, let him comment, thank you.
Mr.
He has-
Johnson.
He has a working button. Since his button works, let him speak.
By the way, his is the only light I have on is this.
No, thank you. I just want to get a couple clarifications from Mr. Riley. These numbers aren't final. We're going to get, there's still some outstanding encumbrances that may change, but it won't change a lot, right? I hope.
That's correct.
And that of these reserves that you showed up here last, some of the reserves that are the money that was saved, that was surplus from last year, we committed to this year's budget for one-time expenditures. Is that reflected in those?
That is reflected in those numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. If that's the issue, go ahead. Please vote.
No vote.
Do we have to approve it? I'm sorry.
No, it's just information.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now I want to ask the city clerk, have we covered everything except
Council reports.
council reports? Everything
all
else
that's
finished? Thank you.
Yes, Mayor Jim Wood.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everybody enjoyed the summer. It seems like for the kids, it really goes fast. It seems to be over for the kids. I remember when I was in school locally, it didn't seem to get over until like September the 15th. So these kids go back a lot earlier. I'm sure they're not happy about it, but for me, I hope you had a good summer if you have kids, and it's still time left to have a great year here in Oceanside. I have one thing to report, and I've done this before for the council. Sometimes we recognize people who've passed away, have given a lot to the city. I don't want that, and we're not going to close at it, but my mother passed away this last Saturday in her 90s. A lovely woman and known by many of people in town. I just want to let you know two things. She did pass. I understand it, her age, and I can accept that. On the other hand, I've got a lot of calls, a lot of cards, flowers, and plants. I want to thank all the people out there that have done that. That's not necessary. I do appreciate it. My mom would be embarrassed, matter of fact, and I'm not having services because she would think services would be imposing on all of you, so I'm not having that for her. But she's a lovely lady. I certainly will miss her. And again, one more I'm saying this because I want to thank everybody out there, including the council members, staff that send me cards and other things. Thank you very much for that. A loving lady like everybody imagines for her mother. But thank you for all you've done and helped over the years. That's all I have. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Sanchez.
No report.
Councilmember Feline.
Thank you. It's amazing all the things that are always going on in the city and activities to attend. For the first time, I was able to attend the Association of Latino Merchants. It was great to be able to go to an event for the business community and hear the wonderful stories of businesses our residents are trying to start and grow, and the plans that are taking place. And it was like hearing these stories. It's like hearing the American dream that's being lived by people coming to our community and contributing their success to our country. Always proud to go to Eagle Scout ceremonies. I was at a recent one with my colleague Jack Feller, and we had an Eagle Scout ceremony for Ted Hunter. And it's probably the proudest thing where all of us are able to do as elected officials is represent the city and recognize personal achievement. So it's always an honor to be asked to participate. Of course, on Friday the 15th, we had our concert in the park. It's one part of the wonderful events our city puts together and makes Oceanside a wonderful place to live. I'm always amazed at attending the opening day ceremony for the soccer club of Oceanside. I believe they said they had 1,800 kids participating. I believe it was 19 teams. And this whole park, Nate's Buchanan Park, which is a huge park, and to have it filled up with all these families and kids and teams, and have the parade of teams that goes on. I believe it takes a half hour for all the teams to be introduced and parade out onto the ceremony area and be recognized. And it's wonderful to see this kind of activity going on in Oceanside. Let's see, also we had the Mission Cove groundbreaking ceremony on Tuesday the 12th. And of course, for those of you who've been following this project, it was started just after Father Sarah built the mission, and it's great to see it come step close to fruition here. I did have a chance to attend a League of City meetings, and it was held at a special location, which I want to mention it tonight, at the SDG&E Energy Innovation Center, which is at 4760 Claremont Mesa Boulevard down in San Diego. And what they have there is they have model homes, model kitchens, model businesses that give you all kinds of ideas on how to save energy and lower your utility bills. And I would encourage certainly any citizen who's considering a major renovation or is interested in getting ideas to save energy to go down there. This is a facility that is open to the public, and it would be worth the trip, and it was quite an education for myself. Also, it was great. On Thursday the 7th, we had 2 receptions at our Oceanside Museum of Art, one for our new Senator Pat Bates, and then also for the new CEO for the Tri-City Medical Center. And it just shows what a wonderful asset our Museum of Art is for Oceanside and our region, that it is such a great venue to host those kind of events. And with that, I conclude my report.
Councilor Feller.
Thank you. Most of those things I was as well at, but I do want to mention, and I don't know if, I know the mayor was talking about his mother, but funerals are, just the lousy thing that happens to us all, and my heart aches for those that have lost that loved one. In this case, the mayor, Dolly Daly, Mike Openshaw's mother, a pastor at Lighthouse. So I just I guess just wish for happy memories to fill the heart. So
Thank you, sir.
I only want to mention a couple of things, and that is Hotel California, a salute to the Eagles tribute band, is on the 24th down at the pier. And Ivy Ranch Western Hoedown is 3 to 7 on the 9th of September, and they have a riding exhibition for and as well, just a great opportunity to see what Ivy Ranch has done out there and with their program, and just it's a terrific place to go. Anyway, that's all I have, and I hope we would close in honor of your mother, Mayor Wood.
Councilmember Kern.
Thank you.
Good call, Tony.
Yeah, the open day of soccer, we had 1,800 kids out there. I think the parade of teams took us almost 45 minutes to an hour to go through. It was quite spectacular to see that many kids out there on the field. And hopefully the 22 soccer fields that we're going to open up here, and I think the next month or so up in El Corazon is going to be really a tremendous asset to the city and help them, because I know that they're going to give them 5 fields during the week so they can practice on, because I know fields are hard to come by and practice time is hard to get. The library had a book sale this last Saturday. They made about $1,900. The library and the Friends of the Library actually last year gave the library about $120,000 of all the volunteer work they did and all the book sales they do and the farmers market and the sales inside the library. And then they have the book sales 3 times a year, and they sell books on Amazon. So they make a tremendous amount of money that they give to the library. It's really good. The Mission Cove groundbreaking, Councilmember Feline mentioned the reception for Tim Moran and Pat Bates. I actually organized the Pat Bates reception along with the mayor of Carlsbad and the mayor of Vista, because she will be our next senator since she's running unopposed. For those of you who don't remember Pat Bates, she was our assembly person here back in the early 90s. She was actually the assembly person when I was the president of the Chamber of Commerce. So she's very familiar with this area, even though that it's still a split district, that she has, I think, 60% or 40% in Orange County and 40 or 60% here. So there's an imbalance, but I don't know what that is. The only thing that I'm going to make a comment here, because I usually don't comment on people speaking on off-agenda items. When they talk about not supporting the homeless, my wife has volunteered for Brother Benno's for 25 years. We've supported Brother Benno's. When Brother Benno's moved their thrift store into a new location and they were having difficulty with the city, they came to me and I helped them move into their new location. So I have supported Brother Benno's for about 25 years. So to have uninformed people come before this council and accuse me of not supporting the homeless is just wrong. So I hope that those people, and they have left, next time I expect them to come back and give an apology, just not to me, but also to my wife, for 25 years of volunteering to help the homeless, and they have the audacity to come here and say something like that. So thank you. And I think we ought to have a moment of silence for Mayor's mother, because if anybody deserves it, it's her who had...
She wouldn't like it, so I'm not, but I thank you for that.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you. I'm done.
Nothing else on the agenda?
Well, I do have one. I'm sorry, I was going to bring it up at my item, but it got sidetracked. Deputy Senator, could we have the engineers come up here? I know there's a lot going on for the overlay, and it's going to impact some streets and cities and neighborhoods, so I'd like you to give a little update for especially the people on TV who you'll explain.
Yes.
Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, we're waiting while I fix it up. Remember, this is overlay for our streets all over the city of Oceanside. Nighttime work. That's why we wanted to hear everybody get where, when, and why, and don't call us.
Honorable Mayor, council members, my name is Gabor Pakozli. I'm with the Engineering Division, and I'm also the project manager for the annual overlay project. Our contractor and several subcontractors have been working on the annual overlay for over a month now. At this time, I would like to inform you of the fact that the project has reached a stage when we need to do the work at night. This nighttime work is necessary due to the heavy traffic impact on major arterial streets. As some of the work is inherently noise producing, we realize that this is an inconvenience to nearby residents, and the contractor for that reason has been notifying the impacted residents by mailed flyers and door hangers. Also, for traffic safety reasons, we place the traffic signals in flashing red light mode in affected intersections, which is also an inconvenience, but a necessary one for the safety of the workers and the public in general. Currently, we are working on El Camino Real, North River Road, and Melrose Drive. The next location after these will be Oceanside Boulevard. I've prepared some slides to show the locations. El Camino Real, we are paving from Via Las Rosas to Fire Mountain Drive. I'll show you, this is Via Las Rosas down here, and this is Fire Mountain Drive. So this is the stretch that we're paving right now. The paving work actually at this location is done, but we're still doing raising utilities, striping, and cutting the traffic loops. Next location is North River Road from North River Circle to Stallion Drive. The stretch is from this point here in North River Circle, which is pretty much the where the developer for the transit station finished the paving work. We are picking up from there, and we are paving down all the way to past Stallion Drive. And unfortunately, this is nighttime work. There are residents, the residential areas adjacent to it. Like I said, we notified them, and we try to be as good neighbors as we possibly can with the work. The next location is Melrose Drive, from North Santa Fe Avenue to Sagewood Drive. This is Melrose Drive. This is North Santa Fe Avenue, and we are paving down all the way to Sagewood, which is down here. And the work that has not begun yet is Oceanside Boulevard from College Boulevard to Ordway. This is College Boulevard intersection here, and Ordway is up there. So this is the stretch we are paving. Again, we have adjacent residents that are being notified, but because of the heavy traffic at this location, we have no choice but doing the work at night, which is also not unusual. I mean, many other cities do nighttime paving work. That pretty much concludes my presentation, and if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Thank you very much, and I think that was very important. I'm sorry I forgot about it earlier, but I'm sure in the middle of the night we might get one or two calls on that stuff, so I appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Just one quick question. The start times and finish times at each day. What times does it start? What time will it wrap up each day?
At the nighttime, we start at 8 o'clock, and we work till 5:30 in the morning.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question. Also, maybe Scott has a better answer. But I've constantly brought up the intersection at El Camino and Vista Way, and at some point we have to fix that. I mean, you need a front end alignment driving across that, and so
right now we are working on a change, trying to negotiate a change order with the current contractor to possibly include that in with this job. If that doesn't work out within the time frame that this contract would allow, then we would put it in the next batch of paving jobs, overlay jobs that we're going to do, which is going to be within this fiscal year.
Well, we'll just hope for no rain then, I guess, although we need that too. Yes. Doesn't that have to wait until they're finished with that undergrounding?
We are.
I'm sorry, Oceanside Boulevard and College.
Yes. We are aware of the SDG&E project that's going on, and at this point we are not going to pave the intersection itself. So we are staying out of each other's ways.
Okay, thank you.
I know the public believes that we pave those streets and then the next month dig it up for a pipe and just patch it. I don't know. That's what the public thinks. We do it intentionally, but I know that's not the case. I appreciate have a light on here for the city manager. You must have comments.
Boy, I hate to prolong this,
Go
I
ahead.
think everybody's ready to go.
No.
You'd mentioned that, and I appreciate the fact that the engineering folks are getting out and doing this work. It's real important. Not exactly sure how you pick them. I know we've got an organized method for that. If people have areas they want to make you aware of, they can call you up. But in case some of these people that are backing up against these arterials are not watching, we do notify them, do we not?
Yes,
And we give them
notify
a
them
telephone number that they can call. It's like your number, Scott?
Yes,
There you go.
I forgot the most important part of my presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have, on this list, we have the project manager from the construction company. The very first phone number, that's a 24-hour phone number there, 760-732-0917. I'm sorry, the second number.
That's okay.
My apologies. The second number is, his cell number is the 24-hour number, 760-625-7124. And the phone number down at the bottom is our inspector, the inspector's number. He's out there with every night job, so he's also available. His number is 760-481-5157.
One more last.
And then I had one more slide, which I also forgot, which is the city's website, where we have some additional information about the overlay project for anyone who's interested. And if technology allows, I can even show you how to get there. But it looks like it won't happen.
If I may, one last thing. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a problem with the 4500 number. That's for everything in the city. You have to call in a complaint, a hole, or whatever. You call the 435-4500 daytime, not nighttime. That'll get you to anybody, or they have all the numbers to refer you to. That's a standard number to Oceanside, 4500 for graffiti, traffic issues, problems, whatever. That's people that answer the phones in the daytime. We'll get you all the right numbers.
They can take a message though at night too.
I didn't say night, they can get a message, but in the daytime, they'll give you all these numbers that we put up on the board too.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Scott, nothing else? You don't want to speak and be on TV? We're giving out your home cell number for this stuff. Is that everything, by the way?
That is everything.
With that, I'll adjourn this meeting to Wednesday, August the 27th, regarding the San Luis Rey River flood control issues. If you got some, be there, okay? Thank you very much.